Are the Arizona Cardinals the most improved team in the NFC West? Are they the most improved team in all of the NFL? We take stock of their epic 2025 offseason, my guy, Johnny Venerable.
Plus, we ask our mystery guest of the day, Marvin Harrison Jr., what's on tap for the 4th overall pick in 2025. PHNX Cardinals starts now. Hey, welcome in. Live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier #1 Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. I'm Johnny Venerable. He's Wulbrecht in Studio K. Noah, man, behind the mic. We have a banner week kicking things off yesterday throughout the rest of this week. It's Spirit Week here at PHNX ALLCITY. And Wulbrecht, we got a special guest on tap later in the show.
That's right. I've got Spirit. How about you, Johnny Venerable? Maroon shirt boys today. How about that? We didn't coordinate this, but excited for us to reintroduce our mystery guest back into the PHNX Cardinals community. Little nugget there, little hint. You gave a little hint as well at the top of the show with your tease. So, yeah, we're going to get into that. Let's give a fond hello to everybody in the chat right now. I know you're crushing it in the exclusive member Discord. You got to be a diehard at GoPHNX in order to do so. But what's up, G. Willikers? How about Irv? I got K2 Ozzy, Marley Pete, John Pickens, Mike, Jules Felix, Tyler. I see you in the chat. Shaft, he's here before. He's like in the pregame, like hours before. Love it. Bonnie Brockable. That's the name of my son I just had. Bonnie. That's his name, Bonnie Brock. And then Angel, I see you as well. The whole crew here ready to have a fun little Tuesday in the Cardinals community.
Speaking of fun, we're in the process of taking care of our travel accommodations. Bo and I and Noah headed out to joint practices. Arizona Cardinals taking on the Denver Broncos in August. We're putting the plan in place to tackle training camp en route to the 2025 regular season. But before we get to any of that, we break down the dark times, if you will, before training camp. It's ranking season, and it's not all bad. Brack, as we put in the show title, the Cardinals, thanks to their robust offseason, have been labeled one of the most improved teams in the NFL, Bo.
Yeah, they did. I think their roster, like on paper, because, there's the actually people or the people that want to, put a pause to all your fun and just say, let's wait and see how it goes. But I think as far as just improvements on paper for the Arizona Cardinals, especially in the defensive department, you'd be hard pressed to find a position group that got better than the Arizona Cardinals did this offseason, because they just completely sank all of their resources into it today. And we're going to get into the conversation that Monti Ossenfort had with the 33rd team, Ari over there, where he broke down that investment, especially on the defensive side of the football, and what it means for players currently on the roster and those newcomers. But the Arizona Cardinals utilizing their top 2 picks, their top 3 picks, 4 picks, actually 5 picks on the defensive side of the football, and most of their cap space on that side. They just really didn't leave any stone uncovered and tried to maximize their ability and resources this offseason, to make sure that they didn't come up short, and that they could maybe create more opportunities for this offense that they're running it back with. But really making sure that defensive front 7 is something that's not going to be like, we can be a good team only if we maybe boost the personnel in that department. They don't have that excuse to hang their hat on any longer. And I don't think they want that excuse.
2024 was the year of development, maturation. Let's roll with what we have. Maybe some guys step up. They'll surprise us. And then all hell broke loose on the defensive line. It was already thin on paper. They lose Darius. They lose B.J. Ojulari, and they're left with what I considered to be the worst defensive line unit personnel-wise in the NFL, and give them credit. 15th in points per game allowed, greatly exceeded our expectations, and was not a reason defensively as a unit that they didn't make the playoffs last year. But you couldn't screw around and have that happen again. And no shot at Monti Ossenfort. I was disappointed with how he handled the defensive line this time last year, but give him credit. He attacked it tenfold. Like, we had a plan in place. We did our mock ideal offseason back in January. And even as aggressive as we were, sans like an acquisition of Christian Kirk as a slot receiver, I don't think you and I would have even prepared ourselves with the amount of talent that they were to bring in. Like, if we would have put together, Bo, this offseason where it's Walter Nolan, Will Johnson, Calais, Dalvin Tomlinson, Josh Sweat, all of these names, people would have pushed back and been like, well, there's no way they're going to do it. And they did. They followed through with it. It was methodical and it was responsible. Like, outside of Josh Sweat's contract, they didn't throw around big time money. They didn't hamper themselves in future years cap space wise. They didn't trade up in the draft and sacrifice first and second round picks of the future to go up and get, a defensive tackle in the top 10. No, they let the draft fall to them. They let free agency come to them. And now you, on paper, like, unquestionably anybody paying attention, and you best be known, like, the NFC West is paying attention. The Cardinals are infinitely better than last year. It's not even close.
No, I like, how you say, obviously methodical. You like that. As far as they navigated this offseason and they, picked up pieces and utilized asset after asset, day one in the tampering period, big, huge contract for Josh Sweat. They got one of the top players at his respective position, and they were in that bidding war that they lost for Milton Williams, which might be a blessing in disguise. We don't know, but or he could have just been another key cog, right? It could have been like Milton Williams and what else, but then, later that week they get Dalvin Tomlinson, who becomes available. And then they get back Calais Campbell, and then they utilize the 16th overall pick and Walter Nolan, the third, as we talk about this defensive front seven reset, like methodical as far as how they planned it out. But I think I'll add this: relentless. Like, they weren't going to be denied, I think, as far as rebuilding this unit. And like, we had Mike Garafolo, great NFL insider. We had Benjamin Wulbrecht, another great NFL insider, tell us pre-free agency that was the goal. Like, now you can't always like plan it out. Like, you can't just say like, this is what we're gonna do A, B, and C this offseason, because you're dealing with 31 other teams, but they were going to emphasize getting the defensive front back in better working order, and they did that. And I think because of that, just the Arizona Cardinals should be on everybody's most improved teams this offseason.
Let's take a look at what NFL.com had to say about the squad. They include the Cardinals. This might be the kiss of death with the Chicago Bears, who I feel like are always on these kind of lists, well-deserved or not. Raiders, Jets, Vikings, Patriots, Commanders. Cardinals, Arizona had some money to spend and needs to address. That's how the Cardinals landed Josh Sweat, reunited him with JG. Of course, we've talked about it. They mentioned it here. Sweat's best year came with Gannon in Philly. Calais Campbell returns to the team that he spent his first 9 years with, and they also get Dalvin Tomlinson, helping to revamp the defensive front one offseason. Rookie Walter Nolan will play a part 2 along with cornerback Will Johnson, a first-round talent who slid to 47 because of knee concerns, though Johnson said later he's healthy. Keep an eye on inside linebacker Cody Simon, who enters the NFL as a 4th-round pick after enjoying an incredible run through the college football playoff with Ohio State and juicing his draft stock along the way. They didn't include on here Jordan Birch, a 3rd-round pick, a top 100 pick. I also think, and I typically hate when teams do this, because it's like, oh, how many times at like the trade deadline, it's like, oh, we're getting so-and-so back from injury. That's like a big trade, right? Whether it's in Major League Baseball or the NFL now. Darius Robinson is a huge acquisition coming back from injury because of where he was last year. The fact that, like, we know Darius can play. He was hampered last year because of injury and the tragic death of his mom. They get him back now. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, he's not going to get injured again, but to put together a projection of the Cardinals defensive line, you didn't have Darius last year. You're going to have him this year. And he could, like, there's a better than good chance that we're sitting here at the end of the year and Darius, not Walter, not Calais, not Dalvin, but Darius Robinson is your best defensive tackle this year.
And that's I think maybe the smarter bet in the NFL, right? Because what do we know about this league? It's not for long. And like, sure, you've got guys that are established, proven commodities, but often the teams that kind of break through are the teams that have young players that develop and become, the next wave of stars. And when you look at this list here, and I think it was Nick Shook of the NFL.com that compiled it. There's levels to it, right? When you see it with the little blurb on the Cardinals, it's like the Cardinals are really kind of the only middle of the road team from 2024 going into 2025.
Right.
Like the Bears, Raiders, Jets, and Patriots were all poverty teams. Like the only two fan bases that should be more excited is that you had playoff teams like the Vikings and Commanders that are considered to have improved off of last season. I think you can maybe make the case against the Vikings because they have a big unknown at the most important position in all of sports, that's quarterback. But yeah, you can undeniably say that they did improve their defensive line. They had a successful offseason, especially in free agency. You have to like what they did in the first round. Maybe but drafting Donovan Jackson earlier out of Ohio State.
Yeah.
And then the Commanders having flush with cap space and doing some good things with their draft capital. But the Cardinals were the only team that was like 8-9 that was kind of knocking on the door that with an improved roster in the offseason, like most people would conclude, would push them into the playoff picture this upcoming season.
Yeah. To me, it's the rest of those teams, I think, are trendy for the sake of being trendy because we like Drake May and people like Caleb Williams, and the Jets can't be any worse now that Aaron Rodgers is gone and the Raiders have cachet with Pete Carroll. But like in terms of like pure transactional personnel moves, like here's what you can't say about, the Jets. It's like, do we know if their head coach is any good? We don't, right? There are instances like that. Ben Johnson, we like. Do we know if he's a good head coach? Like, I think the jury's out. Jonathan Gannon can coach. He's put together a hell of a staff. That's been assured. Nobody played harder 2 years ago when they had no talent, and they overachieved in terms of their talent, I would argue, last year as a 53-man roster. So what they do, they brought the talent up to snuff with their coaching staff. Nobody else on that list can you make that argument for. It's like the Bears are still the Bears. They have holes on their roster. The Raiders play in the AFC West. Goodbye. The Jets don't have a quarterback. Like the Cardinals, it aligns with them. Hey, you were 8-9 and on the door. We love your head coach. Here's a bunch of defensive talent to lean into what they do best. Like, yeah. It's the easiest. You get from here to here to end up here. Plus, the Cardinals showed you last year. Very competitive in the NFC West now, thanks to JG. A very respectable 3-3. Could have easily been 4-2 or 5-1. So that to me, it's like Cardinals over under on Vegas this year. It's the easiest 8.5 to hit the over in combination with their schedule and the personnel moves that they had. Like, I'm not knocking on wood. Kyler Murray would have to go down for the entirety of the year, in my opinion, for them not to hit that.
Yeah, and that would be tough, right? That would be brutal. Be a brutal blow for the Arizona Cardinals and their fan base that have been patiently waiting through this rebuild, and even before that, where the wheels fell off the previous regime. But like, yeah, the Patriots and teams like that, the Jets, the Raiders, like in Bears, they only have one direction to go. The Arizona Cardinals, they could have, stayed, or they could have gotten worse. But instead, the needle is pointing in the right direction. The arrow is pointing in the right direction for the Arizona Cardinals. And what this team is looking to achieve is consistent sustainability. And year in and year out competing for a playoff spot. And it looks like, they've got the workings of a roster in order to do so. I mean, it really is nice to see them, like, especially after all, like you talk about it being the rankings season, crap list season. And like, they're almost contrary to what, people have said about the Cardinals offseason, like factually where they ended at 8-9, very well could have been 9-8, either way you spin it. And then having a, undeniably good offseason, and then see them, below where they finished the power rankings last year. Like this is nice and refreshing to see. Like, hey, let's just admit something that everybody can really agree on. Like they had an improved offseason. They improved their team this year. There's nothing around that. Like all NFL teams will agree when they look at the moves for the Arizona Cardinals. And this is where they got. Like the Patriots were a bottom feeder. Now they go from a bottom feeder, like, can they be a team that goes from like 4 wins to 6 wins. Like that's what they're saying improved. What they're saying with the Cardinals being improved, they could be a double-digit playoff team, double-digit win playoff team. So that's it's good to see them kind of get that type of respect and to be kind of the lone team. Like, all due respect and everything you're hearing, I love our friends over at CHGO. I do. I think they did a fantastic job.
Best Bears content creators in the game
overall. Like one of the best NFL content you can find between Hogue and Carm and Braggs. They're fantastic. But everything you're hearing about Ben Johnson is fluff right now. There's nothing he can do right now to make you say, this guy, I can tell he's going to be a great coach, because it's OTAs, it's voluntary mini camp, it's guys playing in shorts. Like if somebody needs to be like reprehended or he needs to be a tough coach, then like that's just a red flag in general. Like there shouldn't be anything that tells you, like, we didn't know. We liked what we heard about Jonathan Gannon, but we couldn't make any determination about how he was going to be at this point in his coaching career. Like Ben Johnson, like, it's all fluff.
It is. And that you don't think the rest of that division wants to gut the Chicago Bears because Ben Johnson's on every magazine cover. He's being anointed. Meanwhile, like Matt LaFleur wins to average 10 wins a year.
Right.
Dan Campbell, coach of the year. Kevin O'Connell, 10 plus wins a year. These guys are just, who's this dude? So again, it's nothing against our brethren. By the way, I love our friends at CHGO. I think the Broncos are the biggest frauds in the NFL. Super huge frauds, right? With Sean Payton and his big frappuccino with whipped cream on top, and they get a cupcake schedule last year, like, and his puffy orange vest. Get out of here. The only team that's not a fraud is our friends at PHLY and the Eagles. They've got a real team. At least our friends at DLLS, they know the Cowboys are fraudulent for sure.
Yeah, they live it every day, and they're trying to beat those allegations. They're on trial every day. They're live.
I love it. They go in on Jerry Jones often. And I'm like, this is good. This is good content. Good content coming up around the break. So Bo and I are going to deep dive. I've been wanting to do this. The defensive line group for the Arizona Cardinals. Then we're going to play a bite from Monti Ossenfort. Recently, as Bo mentioned, he did a hit with Ari from the 33rd team. Great interview. I encourage everybody. Does he give a subtle shot, a notification, if you will, that he's ready to move on from the 2024 free agent class? That's coming up. It's PHNX Cardinals. So fired up here on a football Tuesday. Fired up for our friends at Wendy's. I gave my Wendy's cold take last Thursday, my frosty take, and it was very unfortunate. Do we want to cue it up? No, man. Do we want to cue up my frosty take from last Thursday? Here it is. It's evergreen here.
The Oakland Raiders have traded the 10th pick to the Arizona Cardinals. With the 10th pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, the Arizona Cardinals select Josh Rosen.
Hey, the lips on
Woo! Yes! Woo! Championships!
Hey, the lips on the bottom are quicker than the one on top.
Championships! Woo!
There were not championships.
How many of those beers did you had at that point?
There could be. I needed a frosty to cool me off with my frosty cold take. Josh Rosen, not a first-round caliber player, but Wendy's, they're the first-round flavor. We've got big news. They are all new with their Frosty Swirl, Frosty Fusion flavors. You can get either chocolate or vanilla. It's that same creamy treat that you always love, now with flavor refresh. You can get those new flavors: strawberry frosted swirls, brownie batter, caramel. Hello. Anyway, whatever flavor you're craving, odds are they've got a Frosty for it. Clock in for a sweet treat anytime, including midnight or later, with Wendy's all-new Frosty flavors. A refresh on a classic. Gotta be Wendy's. At participating U.S. Wendy's, hours may vary by location.
It was unbelievable. I got to give my young 4-year-old son his first Frosty last week. Nice. He loved it. He loved it. And he also said Johnny's an idiot for that take in 2018. You ever look at your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? What the hell happened?
Every day.
Yeah, you just get absolutely just gorged by all the, whether it's streaming accounts or you got too many add to the cart moments. When the Amazon guy doesn't show up to my house, I think it's an odd day. I'm like, is he okay? Is the Amazon delivery guy okay? Because he's not at my house today. He's usually here every day that ends in Y. If you're looking for Monarch Money, it acts like your personal CFO. You should be looking to Monarch Money because it gives you total visibility and control, so you can stop just earning and spending, but actually growing your money. That's what Monarch Money is all about. You can see your accounts, investment, long-term goals, all in one place. The tracking and spending is important because it's easy to let your money leak out without realizing it. If you want to be more intentional, save bigger. Home, vacations, more importantly, peace of mind. Check out what's going on with Monarch Money. All your accounts, credit cards, investments sync into one dashboard. Monarch is the finance tool people actually love. It's Wall Street Journal's best budgeting app of 2025 with over 30,000 five-star reviews. People have spoken. Get control of your overall finances with Monarch Money. Use the code PHNX at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. It's 50% off your first year by utilizing the code PHNX at monarchmoney.com. That's monarchmoney.com, code PHNX.
Everybody drop a like. We got almost 200 watching live. We need all 200 plus likes today on a Football Tuesday. We got a banner guest joining us.
I heard our mystery guest isn't even going to come on unless we get 100 likes.
Wow, that's hurtful. But that's their mindset. They're big time. You guys are big time. Drop a like. Speaking of big time, Arizona Cardinals revamped their defensive line. I wanted to do this week, given all the topic of conversation. Walter Nolan speaking with you and the rest of the Phoenix media yesterday. The deep dive with the improved defensive line. How much better is it? And who's making it out of training camp on this roster? Let's take a look. The defensive tackles on the roster of note, with respect to guys that are, practice squad bound or quote unquote camp bodies, let's run through them. The Arizona Cardinals defensive line goes like this: Calais Campbell, Dalvin Tomlinson, Darius Robinson, Walter Nolan, Justin Jones, Bilal Nichols, LJ Collier, Dante Stills, and Elijah Simmons. Bo Brack, if you would, and we'll do this up until training camp and through training camp, the fight for 53 right now. Who's making this team of these 9 defensive tackles?
Yeah, the fight for 53, and I think the fight for 6, right? 6 roster spots on the defensive line conservatively. And you've got, I believe you can confidently say, 4 of those spots spoken for, barring anything that would take these players off the field. And you look at them right there, the top 4 players here on this list: Calais, Dalvin, Darius, and Walter Nolan III. Where then the rest of these guys, Justin Jones, Bilal Nichols, LJ Collier, Dante Stills, and Elijah Simmons, are vying for those final 2 spots, man. And it's going to be the most important, I think, position battle of all of camp. Oh, man. And I don't think that, I think our list, even though our guy Noah, who put together this fantastic graphic, like, it's not far off from maybe how it the depth chart currently stacks up.
Yeah.
I would probably put Stills. I don't know. I honestly don't think it's that inaccurate. Probably Bilal Nichols, drop him down, swap him with like Dante Stills.
The first 4 locks, as you mentioned, I think Dante Stills makes the team as I don't think you're cutting a third-year ascending defensive tackle with pass rush promise. So then you're talking about there is 1 spot remaining for 4 guys roughly. Bilal Nichols is out. He's hurt right now. I think he'll be cut before or during camp. I will put Elijah Simmons respectfully on the practice squad right now. It pains me. I have not seen him play down a football. As much as I love him, he's going to be a camp favorite. I'm putting him off to the side. So then it's a fight between LJ Collier and Justin Jones. If Justin Jones somehow makes it out of camp healthy and looks good, I would imagine that LJ Collier is like a final cut on this team into training camp. I could be wrong. It could be Dante Stills. I will go Calais, Dalvin, Darius, Walter, Dante Stills, and Justin Jones, with Elijah Simmons ending up on the practice squad and LJ Collier and Bilal Nichols outright cut by this team.
Yeah, I think that's close to accurate.
What am I missing? What am I missing here?
I just think like Dalvin Tomlinson really is your only guy that can play kind of nose in that scenario.
Okay.
Because otherwise you've got Calais, Darius, Walter, and Dante Stills. And who's your 6th?
Dante Stills, Justin Jones, and the four up top.
So Justin Jones is probably your only guy that you maybe kick truly like the inside. So
Yeah.
I don't think that. I don't disagree with that. I think that's a very reasonable 6 guys.
Yeah. And again, like do I want Elijah Simmons to beat out Justin Jones? For sure. And just be a better player? Yeah. I would rather have the young, cheap player be ascending and then just eat dead money this year. But Jones at least is practicing right now. But where is Bilal Nichols? Not practicing. Like, it's a what have you done for me lately league. And speaking of that, we have a clip from Ari at the 33rd team. He sat down with Monti Ossenfort, Bo, and listen to Monti Ossenfort's response when talking about this year versus last year roster building and how they made decisions for 2025.
Honestly, like what happened last year, it really has no bearing on what's going to happen this year. We got to reestablish our team. You know, we got a lot of new players. We got guys that are going to be in different roles. We got guys that have been going to have to reestablish what they mean to this team. And so, you know, I think the NFL it's too rapid moving of a system to get caught up in looking back and say, well, this is where we come from. Now I do think there is a lot of value in looking back and saying, hey, like we made this decision. Was this the right one? Or, hey, we could have done this differently, because I think you learn from that. I think you learn from every decision that you make or you don't make. So I think in that respect, yeah, we have looked back on some things. But really in terms of, hey, where we're going is our eyes are focused on forward and seeing what we could do for the 2025 season.
So the national media will likely see that and be like, oh, he's talking about Marv over Malik Neighbors. Wrong. Bo, when you hear that sound, what does it make you think of?
It's about trying to be as adaptable as possible. And it's not sitting there and say, hey, we had this idea for this player to come in and serve this role for our team, and we're going to push that until we can't push it any further. It's moving forward with the best of the team in that in mind. And I think that Monti Ossenfort is not going to let his ego get in front of it. And just because he spent the most money on these 2 players in the 2024 offseason with aspirations of both Bilal Nichols and Justin Jones solidifying his defensive line, which they didn't come anywhere close to doing. And I think he realized that and was very critical in his own assessment of himself and how he kind of went about it with those signings and how he was going to remedy it this offseason. And he's not going to just say, hey, well, like, these are my guys. I negotiated the deals. I got them to put pen to paper on very lucrative deals to leave their respective organizations with lofty roles in mind. Now they've got to fight, you know, tooth and nail, scratch and claw themselves for a roster spot at this point, because the Cardinals' main goal is to put the best team out there. And if it doesn't fit, you know, what the 2024 offseason narrative was, they're fine with that. They're not just going to live in the past on it just because that's what they felt was going to be the right move, and it just wasn't.
If you just concede your mistakes and move on, that's a very healthy way to live. And Ossenfort has showed his hand in this draft in this offseason, because you and I talked about it after the combine, like how many realistically defensive linemen were the Cardinals going to be in position to add? Like after they added Dalvin Tomlinson, I think you and I were like, are they done? And then they signed Calais, and then they drafted Walter, and then they're like, oh, they're done with last year's group. Like last year's guys mean nothing. Now, honestly, it's like they'll get paid. They have guarantees coming their way if they're cut. But if you're counting on players that let you down last year, when there are, and this is where you give Ossenfort all the credit in the world, when there are upgrades available now, but instead of saying, well, we have guys, we paid for them last year, we got to see it through. That's a quick way to get fired. It's a quick way to lose your job and quick way to be ineffective. And by the way, let your head coach down and your defensive coordinator. It's like, hey, my head coach is a defensive savant. Why not give him elite players for once? You made a mistake last year, remedy it, and move on. Like Sean Murphy-Bunting's never going to play down for this team again. It's not going to impact this team this year. Bilal Nichols could be cut tomorrow. Doesn't impact it because they took the necessary steps to remedy that last year, right? Like, had he taken, unfortunately, this approach with the defensive line a year ago and maybe invested a little bit more in the pass rush and sign some different guys at defensive tackle, like we'd be talking, Cardinals might have made the playoffs. Leonard Williams and Jonathan Grenard are on this team last year. They're probably a playoff team. Certainly they win games, right? And Monti Ossenfort has to live with that. Like I was in a position to spend money. I didn't, or I spent it on the wrong guys. It cost us down the stretch. We weren't good enough rushing the passer against Geno Smith and Sam Darnold. We lost those games as a result.
Yeah.
Guess what he didn't do? He didn't say, well, I'm just going to loll on that and cry about it and have it double down and make it a bigger mistake. No, we're just going to clean this up. We'll remedy this now.
No, it's fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. He's not going to make that mistake twice. And, it's what they ask of their players when they're out there on grass and they're trying to execute, the game plan, the play call. The same goes for guys in the front office. Like Monti Ossenfort is a first-time GM. Now, he's been in the league. It's outlined very well with Ari in his interview. Like you said, highly encourage you check it out if you want to, the road to becoming a general manager for Monti Ossenfort. It was a long one. I mean, 20 plus years, in the NFL, in the league before really getting his true opportunity here with the Cardinals. But he's not going to just let his ego and having to make the admission. It's not even really an admission that he was wrong. It's like, I'm going to be right going forward.
Right.
Like, I'm going to find the solution to this thing instead of just trying to fit this square peg in this round hole for Jonathan Gannon and his defense. No, he's like, I'm going to go out there. I'm going to fix this defensive front.
Howie Roseman drafted Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson and could have easily been fired. And, as much as I despise the Eagles, what did he do? He said, well, this guy can't play. I'm going to move off of him. I'm going to get A.J. Brown. And we're going to win a Super Bowl. We're going to go to another one. We're going to win a Super Bowl. And then I'm going to draft Devontae Smith, right? It's like maybe this is Ossenfort's. It's not as extreme as Jalen Reagor over Justin Jefferson, but it's like Ossenfort inherited a bad defensive line to begin with. The Cardinals didn't have any building blocks, sans for an expiring contract for Zach Allen. Cam Thomas couldn't play. Majay Sanders couldn't play. So he was starting from scratch. And you can't, to his credit, you can't fill everything in a single offseason. You can't fill every need. But man, oh man, this offseason, he did press all the right buttons. We're going to talk more about the Cardinals' revamped defensive line right around the corner. Plus, I think we're going to be joined, hopefully pretty soon, by our special guest returning to PHNX Cardinals for Bo. I'm Johnny. Come back right after this. Loaded here on a Football Tuesday. Loaded because I've got my friends Pure Edibles on standby. You can too. Pure Edibles was founded in Arizona. They've got an available 130 dispensaries statewide. They're not covered in sugars like a lot of competitors, right? I'm not trying to have candy. I'm trying to have a full-fledged candy company offering gummies, kicks, Starburst, hard candies. They've got soft candies like caramel, right? It's where you want to be. Their effects are clearly listed. There are no surprises. You don't want surprises with your edibles, right? You want to know exactly what you're getting in every single tin. Pure Gummies offer for sleep support as well as candies for uplifting effects derived by unique cannabinoids, such as CBN, CBG, CBD with marijuana-derived THC. Pure was crafted in Flagstaff, Arizona, home of Pure Edibles, and is now made in Phoenix, Arizona. Pure Gummies are designed to be ripped in half, bit, and made them easily shareable or easy to dial in your exact dose, right? Take a half, take a third, take an eighth. Go and find yourself some Pure Edibles today from one of their 130 dispensaries across Arizona. Pure Edibles, get them now.
Gotta love Pure Edibles. They're hot out there, hotter than the temperatures outside here in Arizona, in the Valley of the Sun. You walk outside, it feels like you're getting slapped by a hairdryer. Arizona summers, they don't mess around. We know that. We've been in the Valley long enough. So is our next guest, and we'll get into that. Neither of you should come to your energy bill. You don't want to see that energy bill skyrocket too high. Did you know nearly half of the energy costs come from cooling and heating? That's why this summer you need to get smart, literally with a smart thermostat. You don't have a smart thermostat at your home, your condo? What are you doing? You can do it with our friends over at APS, their time of use plan, and you get your automatically adjusting on your cooling schedule, lower off-peak pricing when you're keeping your home as comfortable as possible with APS. They're going to get you a smart thermostat, I think, for free, right?
Yeah.
They're going to hook you up. They're going to get you hooked up. Find instant rebates, discounts, and more at marketplace.aps.com. You got to be an APS customer. Shipping and taxes apply. Other restrictions may apply as well, but cool down your dwelling in the AZ heat right now with our friends over APS. Other restrictions may apply. Visit the site for all the details. That's marketplace.aps.com.
This is my 5th year covering the Arizona Cardinals for PHNX Sports, which is insane. This company was started in August of 2021, and we made a bunch of really good hires. The company did back when it was started, it was founded. There was one hire that not only legitimized this show, but I would argue legitimized PHNX Sports, and that hire joins us now. Former first-round pick of the Arizona Cardinals, Arizona Cardinal great. It's Frank Sanders joining the show. Frank, how we living, my guy?
What's up, my guy? What's up? Appreciate the comments, man. That was really, really special. I appreciate that, my man. What's up, Bo? You guys looking good, man. I wish you guys would age at some point in time. God. Hey.
Frank, you're turning back the clock, man. You look like you could get back out there on the playing field. You look fantastic.
Black don't crack, man. Doing pretty good.
What's been going on? You playing golf lately? What's the deal?
You see my kids back there in the backdrop, man. I don't go anywhere without my kids, man. You see my little kids right here? There they go right there. There they go. Hey, I want to introduce my kids right here. My PHNX, I got some PXGs now, man. So I've been playing a little golf, still busy out here, trying to support the doing a lot of stuff in the community from that standpoint. We the NFL PA, the NFL alumni, the NFL trust is out here heavily. There is at least 300 and some professional former athletes, and not considering the ones that are there, but the ones that are here, they're still in the Valley, coaching, training, teaching, mentoring, out here shaking hands, kissing babies, whatever it takes, to keep the dream alive. We're doing that pretty good.
Now, Frank, leadership here at PHNX asked us to get a mystery guest, and you're the top of our list. We got to reconnect with Frank Sanders, get him back on the show. It's been too damn long because, like Johnny said, when he started, you were in the fold. When I started, you were in the fold, and couldn't have been more of a gracious, better colleague along the way, man. It's so exciting for all of us to see you. We can see the chat is already pumped that you're here as well.
Appreciate that, guys, man. Look, I miss you guys. I learned so much in the business and about the business. I learned how much you guys absolutely know about the game, but not only the ins and outs of just what happens on the field, but more importantly, what happens off the field. And I think you guys do a hell of a job, man, of bringing some information to the public that just not everyone gets. And I think just asking the right questions, being in the right moment, being at the right space at the right time, making sure you have good connections with people that know not everyone knows. I think PHNX does a wonderful job of that across the entire spectrum. And when you listen in, you get more than just what the naysayers talk about. You guys, you dive in, and then you got Johnny. I mean, he's an antithesis all across the board. He's for the Cardinals. He hates the Cardinals. He loves Mike. He hates Mike. He loves Monty. I don't know about Monty. He's all across the board, but he's diehard 100% Cardinals. But at the end of the day, he does a hell of a job of just monitoring and mediating this process, man, of allowing the fans to feel every range of emotion that comes out of whether it be a winning season or a losing season or even just the upcoming part about the season. And I think that's a hell of a job you guys do.
You came to the Arizona Cardinals, highly touted prospect out of the SEC, were, headlines left to right. The Cardinals nabbed you. And it's funny, Frank. It's like we're sitting here and people nitpick Marvin Harrison Jr. and his rookie year. Your rookie season is almost verbatim the same as Marvin Harrison Jr. Now, you did it in 2 less games, but you had just under 900 yards, 17 yards per catch as a rookie for the Arizona Cardinals all the way back in 1995. I know you still watch the Cardinals regularly. I know you saw Marv this year. Give us your, because I don't think I've heard you on any other platform talk about MHJ. Give me your assessment of the 4th overall pick this past season.
I mean, I like him. I still think there's an upside to him that's just we're waiting to see. You have to go back and pay attention, man, that when I got to the Cardinals, I got here with Rob Moore. And so I got here with Rob Moore, Larry Sanders. I came here with veterans already, that were capable of doing their job and taking pressure off of me and allowing me just to go out. I was me and Dave Craig. Dave Craig, 16 years in the NFL, Dave Craig is my quarterback. winning rookie of the year, rookie wide receiver of the year with Dave Craig. Do the math on that, right? And your boy has Kyler. And just the difference is I had veterans, guys that can take fresh off me. Marvin was day one to be respected. And he was the number one receiver just off the top based upon his skill set. I love what I saw out of him. He played hard. He made some plays. But there's a learning curve that needs to happen. And that's learning how people are trying to attack you, how they're trying to take you out of the game plan. They would tell, we're going to take you out of the game plan, let Michael Wilson beat us. Well, you saw how that went. And I think there's a part of him just learning that process. The Cardinals had to adjust too with that. And I think offense coordinator Pitts did a wonderful job of moving him around, figuring out we need to move him around a little bit more, put him in the slot, let him get some one-on-one coverages, not allow him to be sitting just dormant on the left side of the football field. He did a wonderful job with that. And I think that opened up the game opened up his ability to exploit more from the inside part of the football field as well as the outside. And it gave him some time to make plays. I like what I see out of the rookie. He's still a rookie. And if he had some more help on the outside, that would have took away a little bit of that the double teams that he faced, we might have saw a more explosive Marvin Harrison this year.
So many good memories flooding back right now. The three of us back talking ball just feels right, my man. As Johnny mentioned, Frank, very similar numbers to MHJ. Your first two seasons, actually, you go 800 yards, your first two seasons, and you pop off in year three for over 1,000 yards. What changed for you that you think can maybe help Marvin Harrison Jr. as far as just the development, the maturation that can help him maybe break through as early as this upcoming season?
I mean, we had Jake. Jake was the change. Jake scrambling, Jake moving around in the pocket. But we had enough players, man. Like my first year, I did what I did, and the next year we saw Larry Sanders take off 100 catches. And Rob also. Rob had an awesome second year with the Arizona Cardinals, along with me as a third down receiver. So we were maturing as an offense, but we needed we needed a spark. We needed a Kyler Murray, and that happened in the form of Jake Plummer. Our third year, he came out, started making plays, and our offense, we begin to gel. And sometimes I think it's cliche-ish in a little bit, and it's disheartening. Let me say, it's disheartening, not cliche. It's disheartening, Johnny, because you feel like you go through preseason, you do all the stuff you're supposed to do, and you're supposed to be ready to play day one. Well, it don't work that way, because sometimes it just takes teams to figure out how to play 4 quarters of football, how to gel, how realize how defense is trying to stop you. Well, by the time we got to that point, my third year, we had a good flow about ourselves offensively, and that was the conduit there. But my first, second, third year, I was ready to go out and make plays. We just had to figure out how to operate offensively. A head coaching change in Buddy Ryan my first year. The second year we get Vince Tobin, and then we just we work ourselves through offensive coordinators and probably 6 quarterbacks my second year, and then my third year is Jake. And so you gotta look at it from that perspective. Marvin will be just fine. We saw Trey McBride take pressure off of him in the end of the season with over 1,000 yards receiver for a tight end. That's hella good for what we was expecting for Johnny. You got your wish. I know you've been wishing for him to break out and have a hella season. He finally did something special, but he began to learn himself. And so as the season goes on with the coaching staff and the offense coordinator learning how to gel these guys and put these guys in the right spot, you'll see a more explosive offense that should be this year with the Cardinals. Remember, they didn't take anybody in the draft, and they didn't do anything in the free agency market to upgrade this offense. So they must feel like they got enough pieces to go out and make plays to help this defense.
You're exactly right. What they did, and we've talked about it ad nauseum, Frank, they added a bunch of defensive talent to help Jonathan Gannon. Let's talk about the head coach. Entering year 3, it was year 3, coincidentally, Frank, our first season together in 2021 for Cliff Kingsbury when the Cardinals won 11 games. That ended up being a little bit of fool's gold as Cliff was abruptly fired the next year. He wasn't built, at least in Arizona, to last post 4 seasons. Then you have Jonathan Gannon this year, though. It just feels like this is more tangible. They've built this thing organically. Most of the players on this Cardinal roster have been drafted and developed by Gannon. Give me your overall assessment of JG and where you think this team is headed here in 2025.
I've never been in one of his locker rooms, and I see his post-game interview. I see Bo get him. I see Bo get him in the locker room every now and then. And I see those kind of little, but he just seems so stealth about his conversation about what he really wants to do. But apparently, what I do not miss And I can see with my two eyes is the fact that I see guys playing 4 quarters of football. Whether it's preseason or regular season, they're giving you 4 quarters of football. And I mean, that's something that stems from the coaching staff getting on those guys, getting those guys ready to play. I like what I see out of JG. Whatever he's creating mentally and emotionally with this team, it's something that's pretty special. And I like what I see out of him. I have no complaints about anything about our coaching staff. I'm glad they didn't let guys go in the offseason, which was a couple of guys are up for another opportunity, but they didn't leave. I'm glad to see our coaching staff coach 4 quarters of football. Johnny, sometimes that's not an easy thing. Bo, some coaches, man, they shut it down when the team looks like they're shutting it down. And unfortunately, they still going to get paid. But the players got to show up and play. And I think, what I saw out of our Cardinals last year was 4 quarters of football. JG is I think I can't say what he's saying, but I know whatever I'm watching on the football field, I see the results of it.
Yeah, you know what? Like, we talk to these players in the press conferences, Frank, and they just mimic and echo what he says, and it's clearly resonating with all the players in that locker room and on the field. I want to get back to Marv real quick because I'm sure you experienced this going from Auburn to the NFL and really kind of becoming a professional, and the changes that you experienced just by training full time. We saw Marvin Harrison Jr. bulk up. You even had a teammate for a long time that was a notable guy who bulked up in David Boston. And we can talk about that if you want. I'm sure our audience would be pretty interested. But just how much do you think it could benefit Marv from playing a little bit bigger?
I think that he realizes that, man, teams are trying to attack him. That happened to David, really. David came in and he was the first round overall draft pick for the Cardinals. He came in, and Corey Chavis in one-on-ones who were out of Vanderbilt University, one of the smartest colleges on the planet. Coach Chase wanted to prove to him, I should have been drafted before you. However, he gets into practice. He's tackling him down in one-on-one. We're supposed to be staying up Johnny. He gets aggressive, and he comes down, tears David, messes up his shoulder. He's done for the season. He comes back 263. He looks like a Muscle Fitness magazine animal, still running 4.31s without a problem. Nobody wanted to touch him. I'm okay with that with him. I'm okay with what Marvin did. I think it looks good on him also, but he'll teach guys a lesson on trying to press him, guys that try to do cheap stuff to him, because he is a savant in route running. He has the ability to get open. He has the ability to make things happen once he catches the ball. The only challenge was he was getting double. And that in itself in the NFL, man, is a hard pill to swallow. We've seen guys lose their careers over that, arguing about the ball, making the quarterback try to throw the ball in double coverages. That's not a good thing. And but what I do like, I like what I see out of Marvin. That little size won't hurt him as long as it don't hurt his speed, but it will make defensive backs pay attention to that he's a bigger person now than he was last year.
You've talked fondly of your time with Jake Plummer, I think in part because you know how hard it is to play that position. And when you don't have that franchise quarterback, your life as a receiver and as a franchise can be a living hell. And I think that's why, in part, you've always had a good appreciation for Kyler Murray as he enters what, a lot of people think is a critical year. And he played all 17 games, Frank, for the first time last year in his career and was efficient. And then this year, of course, the expectation with the roster is playoffs, NFC West championship. Give me your overall assessment of K1 entering this pivotal year, and what are your expectations?
Well, all I can say is I've seen him grow. When you're going through offensive coordinator changes, and remember, Kyler went from a college offense to in the NFL with a college coach coaching him in a college offense. Yeah. Everyone stays in one position. You don't really have to move. You just make the best read. Kyler's always been the best athlete. I don't care what his size is. He's always been the best athlete on the football field, no matter what. I mean, speed-wise, agility-wise, he has a rocket arm. He can catch the ball. He can play baseball, football. Hell, he can probably shoot pool and play the lights out of Madden. We already know that, so it's no biggity on that. But the reality of it is, like, now you have him with a coach that understands that it's not about you. We like that you do those things, but that doesn't win championships. What wins championships is getting the ball to the guys at the right time, at the right moment to let them make plays. If you have legs and you can run, great. That's awesome. But you don't have to be that guy. And I think Dave did a wonderful job of that, man, and trying to get him to realize that you don't have to be that guy. I think coming out of college and realizing that, that offense is so spread out and you just kind of wait for a guy to get open and make those throws. We see him do that. We saw him do that. And I think that was a challenge. Last year, I was disappointed with Kyler a little bit. And I think everyone can say the same because the last couple of games of the season, it came down to the third and fourth quarter and dumb picks were happening. Kyler's probably mad and disappointed himself. He expressed that adamantly about the fact that he cannot do that. Now, coming into this turn and this year, what I want to see him do, I still want to see him be this. I want to see him grow. I really do. I want to see him become the guy that, the quarterback that, recognizes certain things, and you don't have to do it all again. They brought pieces in for you, and you got to figure out how defenses are trying to stop you. We've seen the 9 technique be the answer to Kyler Murray. Get guys on the wide edges, get defensive ends in the 9 technique really wide, push up the field, keep them in the pocket, the defensive line, hold them up front, and make them stay and make them make throws. Well, if the offensive system is rolling and we got some pieces that can help, if Michael Wilson shows up and does his job, Trey McBride still gets the ball, Gregory Dortch goes out and does some stuff, man, and make people fear these guys, then the other players, then you can see Marvin just eat. And I think it's going to be great. But I would love to see Kyler developing that quarterback that I know he wants to be, which is a complete quarterback, 4 quarters of football style quarterback, not 3. And I think that's something that you got to ask of a quarterback to play strong 4 quarters of football no matter what's taking place.
Unbelievable insight. Do we have the clips and the highlights from Frank's tenure here? I mean, the big one, of course, in putting his body on the line, or putting his body up to get some ink done.
It's still here, bro. And I'm trying to decide what should I do with it, Johnny. I might get it's right here. I said, it's still right here. I'm trying to decide what to do with that. If y'all want to write in, we could do it again, trying to have the people come over and say how to get rid of this K2 tattoo with the Cardinal on there or something.
It was our biggest. We needed some notoriety, and it was our biggest show ever, and we publicized it, advertised it as Frank Sanders gets a tattoo on air, and it was easily our biggest show of 2021. But yeah,
hey, Johnny, you can double down though. You can double down. Cardinals win the first 6 games. You start with the bird on your chest right here. Like a little, and if Kyler wins 9 games, you get a little kiss, a little lip with his tattoo right here. No, we can go hard in the paint, man. Don't stay for the moment.
That's right. I need to man up and get a tattoo on there. Let's go, Noah, man. Roll the clips.
Was going down. We finally got the right person to do the tattoo, and Ernie and Top Rocker. But it was thanks for your patience because it's happening right now. And literally, this is the easiest thing I could have ever done today. But the purpose of it is for all the things I said about Cliff right now, literally is I'm sucking it up because it's perfect. Ernie's doing a great job. This doesn't hurt. I'm having a great time. I'm excited about it. So we're getting it done.
So can you explain exactly? So some people are kind of speculating what exactly it is you're getting. So can you explain what's happening right now?
So I posted a couple of pictures of what I was going to get done. Ernie right now is fulfilling that particular dream. You can't really see it right now, but it's actually the K2 tattoo with PHNX under the bottom, and then I also have a cardinal bird on the outline of it. He's going to add some shading and some color to it, and we're getting it done. I thought it was going to be a 2x2. I tell you what, if you pull up on me, you're gonna know exactly what I got. Yeah, this is like a 3x6 over here some kind of way, but I didn't want to do you guys this service. Ernie said, look, anything shorter would have been uncivilized, and
uncivilized.
Right now, this is coming out great. It's gonna be pretty amazing.
Sean in the super chat, thank you for that. He says he could not miss this, and we've been talking about it for a long time.
Thank you, brother.
Thank you for joining us.
Do we want to give some context as to why Frank is getting this tattoo?
Do we even really understand why? He just is a big Cliff fan. He loves what Cliff's doing with the Cardinals. Right? I think it started out by you saying, if they win the Super Bowl, and then all of a sudden you decided to get bold and say, if they beat the 49ers without Kyler Murray, then I'll go ahead and do it.
Got watered down real quick.
Yeah.
So good. Frank Sanders, cheers to Michelle, part of our original cast here. Frank, we appreciate you, my guy. How quickly can we get you back on? You want to do some stuff with us this fall? What's the word?
Hey, just how it happened just today. You text me, I'm in.
All right.
Amen. But I will say this, though. I got to come up with something else, man. I'm a 10-win season. It's got to be a 13-win season. We'll add another tattoo on the table for some purpose of it. Maybe get a JG on it somewhere. We can add some different lines on it as the hang down versions of it. And then because we're trying to get a Super Bowl, maybe an MB, because Mike Bidwell gave us what we asked for, Johnny. We wanted a new coach, we got one. We wanted a new general manager, we got one. We wanted new uniforms, we got them. We wanted a new defense coordinator, we got him. One new offense coordinator, we got him. The only thing we got receivers, we got some running guys, we got. He's done what he's supposed to do, man. He's done a good job of that. I'm just hoping that we can come together and hoping this be a miracle season, man, for JG as a coach. I want to see us do something great. I want you guys, PHNX, man, all just rocking and shocking, man, about the Cardinals this year.
I think we might even get more of that wish list checked off maybe as soon as the next couple of weeks. We'll see with Bidwell and the Cardinals organization. But Frank, man, it's been unbelievable to catch back up with you. Like Johnny said, we got to get you back on ASAP, man. It's been great. Our mystery guest, Frank Sanders, make sure you're checking him out on social. You're keeping up with that golf game, seeing how he's flexing those PXGs out there on the links, man. We know you're doing it at a high level.
You know I am. You know I am.
Thanks for having me, brother. Good to see you. It's Frank Sanders, Arizona Cardinal. Great. We're back right after this. Speaking of great, be great with how you manage your money. Open up a checking account right now with our friends at Desert Financial Credit Union. If you're an Arizona sports fan, there's no better place to do your banking than Desert Financial. It's the only place you can show your team spirit every time you make a purchase with the exclusive debit card branded. I've got mine right here. I'm not going to show you it on air, but it is the Arizona Cardinal Visa debit card via our friends at Desert Financial. They've got a team of financial experts who are committed to their members and their community by offering financial solutions tailored to helping real-life people like me, like Bo, like Frank, anybody achieve their financial goals and dreams. Look for Desert Financial for checking, savings, mortgages, loans, credit cards, investment options, and more. Join credit card and a credit union, that is committed to giving back to their community and sharing success with their members. Open up a free checking account online. Get $200 back in a bonus. Let's go. Visit desertfinancial.com/200, Bo, to get started.
Love that. Just like your favorite team needs the home field advantage, Cardinals certainly took advantage of that. You need the home floor advantage with their friends over at Empire Today. They can help you get there. Of course, it's always daunting when you're taking on the task of changing up your flooring, whether it's hardwoods, laminate, tile. They've got carpeting as well for you. Last time we walked through one of those big back stores, you're left aisle after aisle, confusing worker there at that poor store, not being able to give you the answers you need. Empire Today is nothing like that. They've got the flooring experts that know exactly what you're looking for. They breathe, they live flooring each and every day, and they bring the showroom right to your living room. That's right. You get the virtual floor designer. You can just browse all their great work at EmpireToday.com. Start your new flooring journey right now. For PHNX listeners, you get a schedule, a free in-home estimate now, and get $350 off when you use the code PHNX. Head to EmpireToday.com/PHNX. That's EmpireToday.com/PHNX. Restrictions apply. See site for details. But make sure to get that $350 off with the most convenient way to upgrade your flooring.
Big thanks to our guy, Frank Sanders. Drop a like for our guy, Frank, one of the realest dudes of all time. Right. And hopefully we get him back. Would love to get him out at Gila this fall. Of course, we're going to be doing our watch-alongs. And then, of course, our training camp coverage starts in just a couple of weeks. I want to welcome everybody coming over for overtime, leaving one of our many streaming partners. Meow, meow, meow. It's overtime here as the conversation continues. Get your super chats and likes in. Over 200 watching live on a sleepy little football Tuesday in the offseason. Want to pick up the rest of our conversation. Defensive tackles, we went through it. What about edge rushers, Bo? I want to pose it to you. The Cardinals right now, relatively sparse on edge rushers that I think, have a chance to be cut. Let's take a look at the group regardless here. Just 6. Now, I believe last year they kept 5 edge rushers, and they can mix and match. Like Calais Campbell, you could line him up as an edge on an offensive tackle if you wanted to. Probably the same thing goes for like a Walter Nolan. But right now, they're true edge players. Josh Sweat, Baron Browning, B.J. Ojulari, Zaven Collins, Jordan Birch, the 3rd rounder, and Xavier Thomas, last year's 5th rounder, who ended up having to start games Do all 6 of these guys make the team, in your opinion?
I think that you could probably go 5 deep here, depending on the health of BJ Ojulari, and all signs are pointing to him being ready for training camp. I think Xavier Thomas XT becomes potentially the odd man out. Maybe you can get practice squad, but at the very I think this is your max group right here. If you're going to go 6, this is your 6. Other than that, probably 5, and it's probably the top 5 here on this list.
Here's what's interesting about this group, Bo. Everybody on this list is signed beyond just 2025. So, if everybody plays and plays well, Sweat, Browning just signed a 2-year deal. Collins deal kicks in this year. Ojulari's on his rookie deal. Same with Birch and Thomas. This is a group now that you want to build around. And then there's always the temptation that they could take a first or second round edge rusher next year. I think if you're looking at, and we talked about it earlier this offseason, trade candidates, right? Guys that are going to be roster fringe contributors. They like them, but do they make sense? It's I'm not saying trade Dante Stills and Xavier Thomas. What I am saying is, could you get back another piece for those players? Could you get back an additional draft pick or then some? Xavier Thomas is a 5th rounder. So I would have a tough time getting anything less than a 5th rounder back for a kid that showed some potential. The knock on him has been he's a little bit all over the place, right? Not, scheme, consistent gap assignments, kind of, irregular, but he's got an ability. You saw he blitzed the hell out of Aaron Rodgers with a strip sack in that Jets game last year. There's something there. So I think Baron Browning and Xavier Collins are going to be the faux starters or the default starters opposite Josh Sweat. I think in a perfect world, Jordan Birch eventually takes that job. Xavier Collins, is primarily a run defender. Ojulari's the wild card. But of that group, you're right. Xavier Thomas is the one where, special teams is going to be the place where he needs to be the next Dumakagi, Jesse Luketa, Dennis Gardeck.
Yeah. I like the wild card there. I think BJ Ojulari is kind of the flying under the radar guy that could potentially be a difference maker for this group. And so much that's important about this conversation when we talk about the outside linebackers, the edge rushing group for Jonathan Gannon and Nick Rollis is their ability to be versatile. What you're going to get with each one of these guys. And then you've got Xavier Thomas, where JG will talk about throwing your fastball. We know what his fastball is, right? His best pitch is getting after the passer. And then when you talk to people around the organization or that have been around the organization, there's not much more to XT. So that puts him at a disadvantage, relative to the rest of this group. But it's an intriguing one. It's got one that has upside. But I think now at this point, especially with what the expectations for the overall defense is, they need to find the people that are going to be able to produce this year. And I think you're just looking at it by sheer numbers. I know it's going to be a rotation, but who are going to be your primary impact makers? And I think that's why you look to Baron Browning often over maybe a Xavier Collins, because Xavier Collins is a guy that kind of does the mop and bucket work for this defense instead of the flashy get after the passer, gaudy sack numbers. Can Josh Sweat and Baron Browning get enough pressure on opposing quarterbacks to where everybody else can kind of play those glue guy roles?
Let me ask you this. Is there any reality in which you could get a Xavier Thomas or Dante Stills to a practice squad?
I think you get XT to a practice squad. I don't think he's flying on many teams' radar. He was a 5th round pick. He had pretty, paltry numbers his first season. There wasn't anything that blew you away. I think that they have a realistic ability. When people hear us talk about Elijah Simmons and there's this fear that if they don't roster him, he's going to be scooped up. He was a 6-year player at Tennessee that was undrafted. Teams have their own versions of these players that they've scouted that they like just as much. XT, I think, could certainly be somebody that slides to a practice squad.
He's also an older player. He was at Clemson for 7 years.
Him and Jordan Birch, I think, similar classes or close to it. They have a some sort of similarity. Something's their paths crossed in high school. I believe
He's 25 years old. I mean,
yeah.
he might be turning 26 this year. So, yeah, you have to go with, and it sounds cliche, and I'm all for developing, but who's going to help you win games this year? And then that's the question that comes back to like the defensive line. Like, I'm not naive enough to think like if Justin Jones is healthy and productive, like he can help you this year. Now, you don't have the gross expectations that he can carry a defensive line.
Right.
But he was a contributor on Matt Eberflus's defense a couple of years ago and was a good player for them in a rotational capacity. That's what you need him to be, right? And he has to be unequivocally better than what you have already. And LJ Collier and, as you mentioned, Simmons, and the same thing goes with this group. It's like Xavier Thomas, like who is he beating out on that list? I think it's almost kind of a foregone conclusion, sans an injury. I think the only way he doesn't end up on a practice squad or be cut for this team, and this stinks for this kid because he started games last year, is if somebody goes down, if Ojulari's not healthy, which he's not right now, and maybe Ojulari has to start the year on injured reserve.
I feel like he's close.
So, I mean, really I think the top four guys you feel really good about. Zaven, Baron Browning, Josh Sweat, Jordan Birch, a third rounder, and then it's okay. Ojulari's the wild card, and then we'll see what happens. They're going to be in a position. They're going to add an edge rusher next year. Like that's the one group when we were sitting there in the draft, and it was like, could they trade up for Landon Jackson? And they got Birch, and he's going to be a contributor for them. But as we mentioned on yesterday's show, like he is not they don't really have a traditional speed rusher on the roster. Like Ojulari was supposed to be that. Browning's a poor man's version of that. That is the one area, and then you could probably mix in guard where it's like TBD. We need another offseason, but certainly that group is good enough to get it done. And it's funny about that group, Bo, like night and day from last year. Sweat, like I've been a critic of Baron Browning. I would much rather have him than the guys that had last year.
Well, at this time last year, like BJ Ojulari has to be the guy. He's their only hope to create pressure, and then make it out of training camp. Like the worst of all realities happened. And he went down and had the ACL tear. And now it's a more, I think, it's more of a conducive environment set up as far as depth chart, that the pressure isn't on the shoulders of the former top 50 pick for the Cardinals to go out there and be the war daddy guy off the edge. Now he can just kind of fit in and hopefully, develop. I mean, this will be, year 2.5 for Ojulari, maybe just like based on, since he only had he was going in the year 1.5 anyway. Like he's at year 2 technically. I don't know how that maths, but he's not a lot of experience for the old LSU product in BJ Ojulari. But like the XT thing, like his main skill set is getting after the pass. But when I see like BJ Ojulari, when I see Baron Browning and Josh Sweat, of course, and even Zaven Collins, like I don't think like his pass rush skill set even is that much better than those guys. So like they can do a lot of other things that Nick Rollis wants from his outside linebackers. Then you got the guys that cross train off the edge, like Mac Wilson, D-Rob, and as you said, Calais Campbell. So man, do they have a lot more options, and there's not as much pressure for somebody to have to step up, and never really does. Now I think they've got chances, but also the reality, like we can have that conversation, but the reality is too, Sweaty J and the boys have to show up. Like this position group has to be big in 2025 for the Cardinals.
He's got to have minimum 8 sacks. He's got to at worst maximize or match, I should say, what he did with Philly last year. I mean, it is night and day. Like I'm not going to sit here. I don't know how it's going to end up. I'll make one prediction, and I said it earlier. I think Darius Robinson's going to be on everybody's list, like mid-season of like guys we underestimate coming in this year if he's healthy. People are probably sick of me saying this, and I can't emphasize this enough. If you weren't at training camp, if you're not in this market, if you didn't see it up close, Darius Robinson was poised to dominate last year for this team as much as any defensive lineman could. He was that good at training camp. And then he just had his whole season taken away. And it wasn't like Ojulari where it's like surgery, major injury, rehabbing. It's like Darius has been healthy for the entire offseason. You can see he's enormous. So I will go all in with Darius Robinson and then just hopefully be like pleasantly surprised, like, hey, it's an NFL Sunday and Walter Nolan has a breakout game or Sweat has a breakout game. So, but I think Darius has a chance to be among the most consistent. Let's get to the super chat. Just one today. Nothing wrong with that. Drop us a like. Han Shot First, friend of the program, diehard, $4.99. What are the odds PHNX makes the trip to Dallas for the Monday night game? I will be present in Jerry's house cleaning our sweet baby Redbirds. Cheering our sweet baby Redbirds. Well, Bo, I think there's a good chance you attend this game.
Yeah, at the very least, I think I'll be in Jerry's world for the Cardinals. Was it Week 9 Monday Night Showdown with the Cowboys? I love, by the way, that profile pic you got there. It's a AI version of
Harrison Ford.
Harrison Ford wearing Cardinals uniform or Cardinals gear. That's fantastic.
Yeah, let's give everybody a little inside baseball because this is like
we have to.
Okay. No, it's not Star Wars.
Go ahead.
It's not Star Wars.
Half hour on what Han Shot First means.
It's not. So the reason that
hold on. We got a new member of the crew. Does young Noah know what Han Shot First means?
No, but I do like Star Wars.
Oh, well, I guess
this isn't even where I was going with.
He likes Star Wars, but doesn't know Star Wars ball. Apparently,
you're being rude to Noah. Noah, no, but we'll talk off air.
Yeah, that was rude.
Han Shot First. Bo is going to Dallas. The reason why I potentially won't go is not that I don't want to go. We're going to be in New Orleans. So when we go on location, it is hard for us, or it's not hard, but there are obstacles to being live for our pregame show, which is 30 minutes before, being live for a halftime show immediately, and being live for a postgame show. And we want to be able to do that seamlessly throughout 17 postgames. That was always the point I was going to make. And so we have a home base here. So, we do, some travel, but we want to be able to, the people who can't go on the trips, we want to be live when they're ready to go live. And that's usually when the games start and the games end. But also in the original Star Wars, Noah, Han Solo shot Greedo at the cantina, and then allegedly, and then George Lucas and Disney basically said, well, that looks like murder, so we're going to scale that back, and we're going to have both of them shoot at the same time, when in reality, that's not what happened. But yeah, it's an interesting piece of movie trivia that everybody should know about.
Han murdered somebody.
Yeah, but Greedo deserved it.
He pulled a gun. Greedo pulled a gun on him first, so it was self-defense.
Yeah, he's a mercenary.
He did. He was a bounty hunter. He's a mercenary. He's coming to collect for Jabba the Hutt. Let's not get into semantics here. Han was correct.
Vince thinks we downgraded when I joined the show. He wanted to know who the female host of PHNX Cards was. That was Kirsten Suzelle, Vince, who was the original, was part of the OG cast with Johnny and Frank Sanders.
Kirsten and Frank, appreciate you both. This is my guy, Bo Brack.
It was unbelievable. Like during that clip of the tattoo, like that was the quietest I've ever heard you on this show. You were just mild-mannered, reserved Johnny Venerable.
The show is very different, and that's okay. There are different iterations of every show. This is the show now. Buckle up, friends. You like what you see here? Drop a like. But Bo and I are here with Noah for your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. And hopefully the goal is we're not going anywhere as we get you buckled up for what we feel like is going to be a hell of a good time in 2025. And if you're new here, welcome. We do live shows every single day. We cover this team, training camp, preseason, regular season, and hopefully postseason, as well as a robust offseason. Drop a like for our guy, Frank Sanders, who impromptu show appearance on Spirit Week, which continues, by the way, tomorrow. I'm just giving you a heads up. I have been asked to be a part of Musical Chairs tomorrow on another show. I have graciously accepted, Bo.
Wow.
Now, it won't interfere with our show, but I'm just letting you know that I was approached by another show.
Wow.
Another show and I are talking.
Yeah, you say that, and I think that's kind of you're throwing shade at me as well. I have not been approached.
No.
Nobody wants me on their show.
That's really unfortunate. Sorry to hear
Wow. I mean, I got approached.
Come on, Noah. Wait, who approached you?
You know, all the people did.
I'm trying. Let me
Everyone.
try to guess which show
that. I have a terrible
approached
vote.
Johnny, because I know it's not the one we wanted. We wanted Johnny to make an appearance on
How do you
Sun.
know? How do you know?
There were sources close to the situation that basically said we're too scared, and they didn't want Johnny on the show because of
Oh, Kevin. Kevin and
keeping it too
Devin.
real.
Devin,
it
don't
too
go
real
home,
there.
my friend Devin.
So Suns is out of it.
I don't want to ruin the surprise.
Okay.
You have to check into every show tomorrow for a little pop-in from your
No,
boy.
I won't be doing that. I mean, what's live? I mean, the full slate does Espo's Southwest Bias count?
I don't know what counts. I think you just have to pop on the old tube on one of our many streaming partners, or check us out at gophnx.com on YouTube. PHNX Sports. You have nothing going on. You have a newborn. Good luck. I know Bo after the show. Now he's going to lobby to get on another show tomorrow. That's what. That's what we're doing after hours.
I'm just going to become a disgruntled employee. I'm going to go to HR and I say nobody likes me.
Who is
Why don't
joining
they
us
like
tomorrow?
me? We got the chat that wants the original host back.
What if
Might as
people
well just
tuned
go
in
back on
and
maternity leave?
What if somebody tuned in tomorrow and it was just like 2021 PHNX Cardinals and we didn't acknowledge it at all?
Yeah.
I think it would
Just
be
turn back the clocks.
We appreciate everybody here. We're back tomorrow during Spirit Week.
Nasty. Alex Clancy approached, bro. Now I don't want anybody to approach me. Nobody reach out to me. I don't want to be on any other show.
No one talked to me. We have a special guest tomorrow subbing in for a segment. We don't know who that person is. I don't even know if we have a say in it, but we're getting gross tomorrow because this is what Spirit Week's about. It's about making memories.
Certainly is. And it's going across all City Network platforms. Check it out. DLLS, PHLY, DMVR. So No Sean Moreno was on DMVR today. So you're seeing great guests throughout today. And then Spirit Week, as Johnny said, continues tomorrow, as do we. Make sure you follow along on Twitter, Instagram at PHNX_Cardinals. And as Johnny said, give that like on today's show, specifically for our guy, Frank Sanders, the best guy around. He won an award for it. Look it up. Frank Sanders, back-to-back 1,000-yard receiving seasons. Great, tremendous insight on as Marvin Harrison Jr., by the way, from Frank. So check out that interview and much, much more. We back tomorrow, Johnny, 4:30 after you go cosplay on other podcasts as some, masquerading as a different show.
Here, this is nice. Han shot first. Yeah. To be fair, I followed Bo here to PHNX when he left Locked On. I would consider it an upgrade. Wow.
Thank you.
Oh, wow. Han shot first.
My guy. I appreciate that. But we'll be back tomorrow, same bad time, 4:30 right here, PHNX Cardinals.
We all silly like the mayor.